It'll get darker as you
yeah.
go though in the 2 hours.
Ooh. Recording. Yep. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Ooh. Welcome everyone.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Welcome. Hi.
Give me a second.
Hi.
Hi. Can you mute everyone, Charlotte? It's at the bottom of the chat page.
Have I? I think I have.
Yeah, I think you have. Okay, well, it doesn't want to do what I want it to do, but this is... I saw someone from Istanbul, from Mexico, from Kuwait. Welcome, everyone, from India.
Belgium. Cecilia.
From Belgium.
Oh, we're very excited too.
There we go. Thank you, Pam, for sending that to me. Okay. All right.
How are we doing?
All right. So I think we can. Hello again.
We ready?
And maybe one more minute. The admitting is slowing down, so let's see.
Lovely.
Okay.
Is Ayesha muted or is she?
Did I mute her by accident?
That's fine. I've unmuted myself, I think.
Ah, okay.
You did.
A little overzealous with the mute button.
It's the power.
It's gone to my head. Wonderful. Let's see here. All right.
Shall we begin?
I think so. Yeah, go right ahead.
Fantastic. Lovely. Okay, so for those of you who are joining for the first time this evening, hello and a very warm welcome, and a warm welcome back to everybody else who's been following the course over the previous 3 weeks. It's a bittersweet moment this evening because it is the last workshop. But I can share the good news that both Laurelie and Ayesha have agreed to carry on collaborating with Leighton House, so we're absolutely delighted. So please watch this space for Inspired by Islamic Art 3 and 4. And it's just been, or it's such a joy to have so many people joining us. We're from all over the world. We really are quite overwhelmed. And just so grateful as well for your lovely messages through the week and the extraordinary work that you've been sharing. So thank you for making these classes so special for everyone. So enjoy this evening, and please come back and join us when we launch our next programme with Ayesha and Laurelie. So you're all muted, but please do use the chat box. Laurelie is here to help you. You can either message her privately, or if it's a question you think the group might be interested in and sharing, do message everyone. And there will be a brief break halfway through, just so you can stand up, stretch your legs, and have a little reset. And we're aiming to finish at 7. Thank you. Over to you, Ayesha.
Hello everyone, welcome again to our final workshop for this series. I have a very short presentation to share with you first of all, and then we're going to look at designing your own composition for either a vase or a ceramic plate. So I'm going to first of all just talk a little bit about some of the flowers that we're looking at. So if you were in our previous session, some of this may be familiar to you. If you've just joined, this will be new. But we're going to look at some of the traditional flowers that are used in the ceramics at Leighton House and throughout the Islamic world. So just bear with me 1 second while I do a screen share. Okay. There we go. So these are just a short introduction to some of the motifs that we'll be looking at this evening. The first one is called a yaprak, which is a leaf. And it's an important motif because it frames all of the flowers and adds movement to the composition. So on the left, you'll see 2 examples from Islamic ceramics, a plate and a set of tiles. In the middle, there is a carved marble panel from the Taj Mahal in India. And then below that, there is an example from a Persian manuscript. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have a carpet as well from Iran, and then a few drawings of the leaf shapes above that. So I put this slide together because I wanted to show you that although the leaves and flowers kind of take on different colors and different styles from region to region, the principles for creating the compositions are the same, whether you're in, regardless of whichever part of the Islamic world that you're in. And also the principles are the same, whether you're looking at ceramic or a manuscript or a textile or a piece of architecture. So these very important motifs help to frame our compositions and give movement to the design. Second motif is called a pench, which is a circular flower. So we were working with the pench motifs a couple of weeks ago and creating floral designs using different kinds of symmetry, either rotational symmetry or mirror symmetry. And the pench shows a bee's eye view of a flower. So it's a flower as if seen from above. These flowers are always circular and they always have some kind of symmetry to them. So in the first 4 images on the right, you can see where the pench inspiration may have come from, these different types of flowers. And in the bottom right image, you can see an example of a very stylized pench from the Alhambra in Granada. And then I've also put a few pench drawings on this slide as well, just in black and white, so you can see them more clearly. Next motif is called a Gonshogul, which is a stylized version of a bud. So Gonshogul means a rosebud in Turkish. So these are baby flowers. They're not fully formed flowers. And with the Gonshogul, we have a profile of a flower. So it's almost like each flower represents a different perspective of the flower as well. So with the pench, we have a bird's eye or a bee's eye view. With the Gonshogul, we have a profile. And we'll come to the hat eye next, which is a cross-section, a stylized cross-section of a flower. So the Gonshogul always has these little leaves around the bottom, and then the petals, which are waiting to burst into bloom at the top. And then the next flower we have is called the hat-eye, which is a fully formed flower, but it's a cross-sectional view. So it's as though you've cut the flower from the top to the bottom, sliced it from top to bottom, and the hat-eye is what you see inside. And if you look at the images, the first drawing in the center shows you the different parts of the flower. And then beneath that, we have some examples of the hat-eye flower in Islamic ceramics. So if you can see my cursor, this is the hat-eye here, and over here, and over here as well. And then on the left, there are a few images of real flower cross-sections, which are the inspiration for the hat-eye flower. Okay, so that's just a little bit of introduction to the motifs that we're going to be working with this evening. I'm going to close the PowerPoint now and get started with the practical. So Laurelie, if you would mind just spotlighting my table, please.
No problem. Oops.
So, first of all, just to check everyone has the handouts, which are, you don't have to print them in color. You can, black and white is fine, but there should be a page with a vase and one with a ceramic plate and one with various floral motifs on it. You're going to choose whether you want to work with either the plate or the vase, first of all. So have a good look at both of them and see which you prefer. And what we're going to do is we're going to trace the design. So whichever one you choose, trace the design first of all onto tracing paper and transfer onto watercolor paper, and then fill these sections here with flowers from the final sheet. So you get to choose which flowers you put in each section. And if you like, you can also make up your own flowers, just depending on how creative you feel and how confident you feel your drawing skills are. So I think I'm going to work with the vase this evening. So first stage, take a clean sheet of tracing paper. Lay it over the vase or the plate. And with your pencil, just start tracing the design onto your tracing paper. You don't have to trace these sort of dotted lines for the missing flowers. Just leave them blank because we'll trace flowers into those gaps. So don't press too hard with your pencil. Just a sort of medium weight is fine because we want to be able to see the design when you transfer it onto your watercolor paper. But we don't want it to be a very heavy black line because that might show through when we start painting. So I think in previous classes, we've mostly shaded our flowers using watercolors and kind of put a few highlights here and there. With this technique, we're going to block in the color, so more like a silhouette. So remember, you don't need to draw in the dotted lines. You can just leave a space there for those flowers. So if you're working particularly fast and if you finish your tracing already, you can start tracing flowers from the second sheet. So from this sheet into the spaces which have been left for flowers. So into those dotted lines. Okay, last few stems to go.
I'm here, by the way. Just the chat room is very quiet. I'm not complaining, but
I can hear you, Laurelie. Don't worry.
okay, good.
I think everyone must be concentrating. It always
I
seems
know, I know.
when we trace. It's good though because tracing is very important. It needs concentration, and if you make a mistake at this stage and you don't correct it, it can sort of filter through to the other parts of the drawing or painting. So just finishing this off. Okay, so there I have it. That's my trace design. And then have this sheet next to you. So whether you're doing the vase or you're doing the plate, have the sheet next to you so that you can refer to it. And then take this sheet. And what you can do is just have a look and see which flowers you want where. So for example, I might do this pinch here, sort of, it's circular and it fits the space quite nicely. Or this one would work too. Maybe just a little bit too small. I think I'll go for this one here. And also, if you've taken previous classes, you'll know that we designed our own flowers as well. So if you want to use one of your own designs to put into the ceramic vase or the plate, then feel free to do that.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Hi, Laurelie. Hi, Ayesha. I was wondering if the orientation could be the other way because it's the upside down for us to watch.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Ayesha, can you just unmute yourself? Sorry, in order to make sure everyone's muted, I had to mute everyone.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yeah. So my next flower is over here. So maybe I might put this pinch or this one over here. Both will work okay. But I think these two are quite similar flowers. This one here and this one here. Sorry, move this back into the camera. So this flower here and this one here are quite similar. So I think I'll choose a different shape this time and go for this flower. And then next, I have either a Gonshogul or a hat eye that can go here, so a sort of oval shaped flower. So That might be a little bit too big. I mean,
What about the spiky hatai?
yeah, I think I will. You could put a pench if you wanted to. I mean, I've put an oval shape on the sheet, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe you could do another pench if you wanted. So, do we have anything else? Yes, there's one more flower. So there is a small Gonshogul or a hatai here, or it could be a pench if you want it to be. So let's see what works. Maybe this one here is a little bit too long. I suppose I could paint this small flower and take away that leaf. Or what else? I could put this sort of tulip shape. And I have quite a few penches already. I don't want to put another pench.
The tulip is quite, it's nice, it's different.
Yeah, let's go for the tulip shape then. Laurelie says the tulip, and she is the ceramic expert, so I'll go with that.
It just seems to fit that shape, actually. Just. You know, when you're kind of going through the ropes of learning Islamic ceramics, learning how to make compositions for vases is like the last thing you do.
Oh, really? So we've started with something really difficult.
Well, this is a little different. This is a flat, you know, this is a surface pattern. But when you're learning to adapt them so that they can fit on a three-dimensional object, that's a whole different, how do you say, can of worms, so to speak. Yeah. This is really nice.
So maybe, maybe a pench up here. So I haven't used this pench. I didn't use it down here. I'll use it here. I really can't wait to see what these look like, especially if people start making up their own flowers. I think that will be really fun.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting just to see how far they can take, you know, do we call it a stencil? Is that what we call this? Not a stencil, but like the foundation you gave them, because it could go so many places.
Yeah. Okay. So there we go. So this is my finished design. I get so confused as to whether I have to push the page up or down sometimes in the camera, because Zoom inverts everything.
You're perfect right now.
Okay. So this is my finished design. If you've not finished, don't worry. You've got plenty of time. But the next stage I'm going to do is to start transferring this onto my sheet of watercolor paper. So I have a sheet here of just plain A4 watercolor paper. And the way that we transfer, so if you've been coming to these classes before, you'll be familiar with this. Put your watercolor paper underneath, take your tracing paper, turn it the opposite way around so that the carbon from the pencil is against the watercolor paper. Very important, because you don't want to spend all of your time tracing and find that nothing has come through. Then take a sharp pencil. So you can use a sharp HB pencil if you want to. I'm going to use a 2H because it's just a little bit firmer. And just go exactly over the lines. And yes, I know we can use a spoon to rub the back of the page and transfer that way, because I know someone will rub. But this gives us practice for the painting and just familiarizes us with the design. And it's also a bit more precise. So once you've done a little section, just flip up the tracing paper and check that your design is coming through. Laurelie, are there any questions in the chat? Because
I just got one just now. And I was actually going to answer, but I'll bring it to you too. The person wrote, I have heard using ochre can be used to transfer. Are there different applications for that versus pencil?
yeah, you can use ochre to transfer. It depends. I think pencil is more precise. So if you're not doing something very precise, if it's quite a big piece of work, then you can certainly use pigment like ochre. So the way that I've done that before is to rub some pigment on a sheet of plain paper and then place the pigment side of the paper against what you want to transfer onto, and then place your design on top of the pigment paper and draw it with a pencil. And the pigment paper acts like a kind of a carbon paper in transferring your design. But it can be a little bit messy. So it depends. If you don't mind a bit of ochre on your paper, and if what you're doing is not too precise, then it's fine. But if you want to be quite careful, then I would recommend pencil.
And also transferring onto dark colored papers, you need to have an alternative to graphite.
Yeah.
So that would probably be zinc, zinc, or what's it called? Yeah, zinc white. Is it? I can never remember which one's which, but you can get a white pigment. I wouldn't use ochre in that case either.
Sure, yeah.
when we transfer, Ayesha was talking last week and I think the previous week about how these patterns were transferred to tiles, or how some patterns were transferred in general, you know, by using a kind of transfer sheet that's been poked with holes, and then we put carbon or now we use graphite. Before you could use charcoal too. Charcoal's really expensive in Turkey now. So we use a lot of graphite powder instead. And, you know, that sticks really well to the tile surface. And it burns up in the kiln. You don't see it after everything has been glazed.
It's an important consideration that you don't want to see.
Very important.
Frozen lines. I guess it's the same with pencil when we transfer in illumination, because the paint generally covers any pencil, so it's fine. A few people in the past have asked me, can't you just use carbon paper?
No.
You can, I don't know, but I've never tried it because it might interfere with the paint, I think.
Well, for, I don't know about paint, but there's two things I discovered when I was doing my master's work at PSTA, unfortunately discovered, and that is in the mechanical pencil lead. In order to keep the mechanical pencil lead strong, they put wax in them. And wax and ceramic, it's like a wax is a resist, so you're not going to get like an even pigment coverage. And then carbon paper, some carbon papers, if they're not specific for ceramic, they also have wax in them, so they create that same resist that you don't want.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine that the resist is no good for paint either.
Probably, yeah, especially for watercolor.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions, Laura, or is that it?
No.
It's a quiet bunch.
Yeah, I think
today.
everyone's just kind of zoning in. Well, we just got one, and I can, doesn't matter. It says tracing paper is moving. How do you prevent that? Well, you can stick it down with some masking tape or some sticky tack.
Yes, yeah, good point. I'm so used to it now. I just generally hold it in place a little. But you can use masking tape or paper clips or blue tack.
Yeah, those butterfly clips can work too. Or are they called binder clips?
Yeah, you mean the big ones?
Well, you can get them in any size, but they're kind of black and they have metal.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Or
Yeah.
they're fine as well. Just either will work. Maybe those big ones are more secure though.
So on the border of the plate, are those clouds or waves?
Are you asking me, or is that?
That's what a student's asking you. Yeah.
Your best place to answer that one.
I believe that it's the rock and wave motif. So those are rocks and waves, not clouds. Clouds in a paint rim, sorry, not in a paint rim, on a plate rim, are kind of rare. They're usually in backgrounds, not on rims so often.
They're almost missed.
Yeah, everyone's very quiet. You know, I think I think most, we were talking before the class started about how, you know, a lot of people are using these kind of classes for a bit of respite and, you know, a chance to get away from the fact that it seems like 2020 bled into 2021. I think a lot of people are still feeling that. So I think that's why everyone's quiet. Everyone's just, you know, enjoying the process.
But I am really, really enjoying seeing all the work appear on Instagram, and you know the emails and things that people share with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
And you know, like in the beginning, I'm not sure about you, but in the beginning when everything kind of went sideways, I was like, there's no way I'm moving all of my stuff online. There's no way I'm gonna like change all of this like traditional teaching that I've done. It's like the antithesis to traditional teaching is to teach it online. And then after about a month and a half, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to do this. But in saying that, I think the payoff has been like, if it didn't happen this way, I don't think I would have met students from the places I met them from. Like everything got really small, really fast, you know, and the connectedness happened so much easier than, you know, me going to Qatar or me going to London or wherever it may be to teach only 20 people at a time. You know, like more than 300 people sign up for these classes, and sometimes close to 200 people show up.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are numbers that it's not about the number, it's about the amount of people who it's helping and affecting, and it couldn't have happened, I think, in another way.
I think COVID has given us that as a gift. Although it's brought lots of other challenges, but that's one gift that it's brought us. And I was the same. I was really reluctant to do online teaching because it kind of goes against the traditional way that we've been trained, where, you know, that face-to-face experience is really important. but I watched a few online classes to begin with, and I was really quite surprised at how much you can do in an online class. So and how the quality of students' work is still maintained often.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If not, I mean, you know, the experience is different, but I think a lot of people are tapping into a need to not just, you know, do their job, and
That's true.
yeah, they need something that nourishes them.
Mm. So I have finished my transfer now. So this is what it looks like. So we can start the next part, which is going to be painting. So if you're still tracing, go ahead, take your time. You've got plenty of time. But I'll start demonstrating some of the paintwork. So I have my watercolors with me. You may have gouache or you may have watercolors. Either will work fine. I'm quite enjoying the watercolors though, because I tend to use a lot of gouache in my other work, and this is a nice break from that. So I think I'm going to use Islamic colours, but feel free to use whatever you like for your flowers and your leaves. So I will probably stick to different shades of blue and red and use the white of the paper, but you can use any colour that you want. I want people to be as creative as they like, but if you want a few guidelines for how to work with the paint and like colour combinations, I would say maybe no more than 3 or 4 colours. So keep the palette quite simple and limited so it doesn't, so that the colours harmonise. You could sort of try to have colours that are close to each other. So you could do just a completely warm design or a very cool one, or you can have a bit of contrast as well, a little bit of warm and a bit of cool. I'll leave it up to you. My very well worn palette. So actually turquoise is my favourite colour, which is why I always go for it, or some kind of turquoise. So I advise you, when you pick up colour in the palette, I advise you to roll your brush through the paint. Try not to poke it like this because it damages the bristles of your brush. But if you roll the brush through the paint, it just reinforces the point and keeps the brush in good use. So it will last a long time. So actually I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller brush because I want to use this for the stems. So I'm going to paint my stems and leaves turquoise. Oh, and you'll see on your sheet, and also on the sheet with the, actually maybe this is better to show you. So on the sheet with the flowers, you'll see that there is a little gap between each of the shapes, a little white gap between each of the shapes. So I recommend that you maintain that gap between all of your shapes, which means that you just stop just before you come to the edge of the next shape and leave a little white gap all the way around, and try to make sure that white gap is the same distance all the way around. So all of the flowers have that. So I think I'll just paint this stem and leaf, and then I'm going to show you an example of one of the flowers, so you know what I mean by leaving that gap all the way around. So I'll pick a different colour for the flowers. So when I paint this petal, let's see if I can just zoom in a bit closer for you. I'm not going all the way up to the edge of the shape. So I can hold this a bit higher as well.
It's not focusing, but I think.
Yeah, I'll try and explain anyway. So I've painted this sort of heart-shaped petal, and I haven't gone up to the edge of the next shape. I've left a little white gap all the way around. And then what I'm going to do is paint all of these heart-shaped petals. Then I'll do these sort of spiky ones, and then I'll do the star-shaped little flower in the center. But just as long as you remember to leave a gap between the shapes, a little white gap of the paper, you should be fine. So this technique is like a silhouette technique.
Did you want me to let you know when we're at the hour mark?
Let me, yeah, I think we're there, but I'll just finish painting this flower and then
Okay.
we'll...
Just because everyone's so relaxed and calm, I don't want to, pull them out of it, but, we got to get some blood to the legs.
Very true. So I'll just do these this last couple of petals, and then we can go for the break. Come back to this flower afterwards. That went really quickly.
It did, it did.
So, there we go. So everyone, it's just gone 6 o'clock. We'll take a short break now for 10 minutes and be back here at 6:10. Thank you for your hard work, and enjoy your break. Do get up and stretch your legs, make some tea or coffee, and walk around a bit. And I'll see you in 10 minutes' time. Thanks, everyone.
All right. And I'm watching the chat box to when you request to get back in. I'll let you back in. Okay.
Actually, I think I'll stay. I have some water and tea right here next to me, so I'm okay.
Ah, okay. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat box. And just one quick one for you, Ayesha. What size of brush are you using for the petals you just did?
A 0. No, oh, yes. What is it? Yeah, 0.
There you go, Sabira, a 0.
To Simone, yes, we can rub out the pencil after painting, unless it's under the watercolor. In that case, well, the watercolor should cover it if it's under the watercolor, but if it's around the watercolor, we'll erase it.
Yeah, the shellac, not the shellac, the gum arabic in the paint prevents you from being able to erase it when it's on top.
So Bridget, containers for hand-ground paints. I tend to use shells, so big clams, because they just hold a lot of color. And then I use smaller shells. So I have a big shell for when I make a big amount of pigment, and then I sort of decant it into small shells for you know, just for everyday use.
What do you mean, Margaret? Different perspectives, like of the flower, or what?
I think I wonder if she means like the profile view, the cross section, and the bird's eye view.
But she's taken my classes, so she knows the answer. Ah, is that what you meant?
I don't know. Yeah, I would say, but that probably is characteristic.
Okay.
Of this traditional art. What do you think?
Okay.
Shells cramp the artist's fingers. No, not in my experience. What's the benefit of using shells? Well, it's a traditional material, so it's nice to be authentic to the tradition, but and it's also a natural material, which is very nice. You can use, I mean, you can put the paint in anything really. You can use a plastic container or something like that, but I quite like the shell. Is it's a lovely shape as well, and I really like. So let me show you. I've got some indigo in a shell here. So this is how I keep my my colours when I'm making my own paints. And the shell is just the perfect shape. It fits nicely in the hand. It's the right size. I quite like having these ridges as well, because when I go in with my brush, I can just sort of rub the excess paint off on the ridges of the shell, and it just feels nice. So yeah, it's just a nice natural container for your paints. very glad that so many people are benefiting from the online nature of the classes.
I'm going to paint along with you guys. I've got mine beside me now.
So for people who haven't taken previous classes, if you have a look at the Leighton House YouTube channel, the previous classes are all online, and this will be put online as well for free. So you can go back and take the other classes with Laurelie and myself.
Thanks for the wonderful segue. I was just about to Google them. And for those of you, I spoke with Anna, the marketing and social media lady at, lady responsible at Leighton House. And I know she's going to send out some emails with these links too. So I'm going to send these links, but at the same time, realize that probably you're going to get an email this Friday or next Friday also with that information. So don't worry, you're not going to miss out in either way.
Oh, there is a question here. Do the flowers have different spiritual meanings? I don't know about that, but I did hear it explained to me. I mean, because a lot of these decorations are used in a sacred context, like for example in a mosque or for illuminating the Quran. I was told once that the flowers look fantastical because they're supposed to represent the perfect flowers of paradise. So they're not really supposed to represent flowers in the natural world. But I couldn't say, I couldn't tell you that, for example, this flower here has a special spiritual meaning. I don't know about that.
There's a few that, like you can't, like I wouldn't pick out every single different flower and say there's one, but there are ones that that already have spiritual meanings within Islam itself, that those kind of symbolisms follow over into the artwork. So roses and tulips are the two major ones. The roses are often related to sometimes spiritual experiences people have concerning the Prophet, or at the mosque of the Prophet while they're, on Hajj or an Umrah. There's some relations to that. And then with the tulip, there are some kind of spiritual connections to the numerical value of the word lale, which is the Turkish and Persian word for tulip. And that corresponds to the same numerical value as Allah, the word for God in Arabic. So there's some conflations and some kind of cultural aspects that are attached to those ideas, if that makes sense.
Yes, the tulip and the rose. I was thinking more of the semi-stylized flowers.
Which one? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, the stylized flowers I was thinking more of.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right about the paint. Sorry, not the painting. The motifs get more and more abstract, and I think that is a way to try to explain that as human beings, we couldn't possibly know what those flowers can look like in paradise. So it's a way to explain that abstraction that our mind can't perceive.
Yes, exactly.
I think I explained it sort of right.
I think also to draw one's mind away from the everyday world,
Mm-hmm.
sort of focus your mind on otherworldly things, on the spiritual realm. So you're not looking at flowers that you see in the garden. You're looking at these sort of fantastical flowers.
And a lot of the flowers, like this small little pinch, for example, you know, sometimes students will ask me, well, what exact flower is this? Because some flowers you can understand, this is hyacinth, this is tulip, this is whatever. But with the pinch, what's interesting is because it's so simplified, it could be anything.
Mm.
And I kind of like that it has so many different possibilities.
So just to welcome back everyone after the break. Zoom in on that little pinch that we were talking about. So if you can see, I've left a little gap in between each of the different shapes. So that's how we should be painting them. And even with this pinch here, where I didn't draw the gap, but you want to leave a little white gap between each of the different shapes as well. Just so that the shapes don't all merge into each other. There's a little bit of breathing space between them. And the gap is just the background color. And when this is dry, I'll take my eraser and just rub away any excess pencil, and you'll see how nice and clear and sharp it becomes. So my technique, I mean, I showed you the pinch just now, but my technique is generally, I tend to paint the stems and the leaves first, and then do the flowers. And I tend to also use one color at a time. So I would do the stems and the leaves, which are going to be this sort of turquoise color. And then I might move on to the blue, which is more of a like a lapis color, sort of a watered down lapis. And then I might do the red at the end as a highlight.
We have a question. Are the drawings on the sheets that you gave the students, are they digitally drawn?
No, I painted them. And then,
Really?
yeah.
On the handouts?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
They look digital. It's actually quite incredible.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Well, it's a compliment. It's not you know. They looked really smooth. I honestly was sure you would use like Procreate.
No, I'm really terrible with things like that. I'm no good with digital artwork at all. I scanned them, I painted them, and then drew them, painted them, then scanned them into Photoshop, and all I did was lighten the background, because you know when you sort of scan a page into Photoshop, it looks a bit grey.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems that you've got quite a few people who were under the impression that they were digital.
they're all my own drawings, and even with your other handouts as well. Of course, the images of the tiles and things were are photographs.
Mhm.
The templates that I use for you are all my own drawings and paintings. So, like the beasts from the other week,
Right.
I painted them by hand as well, and did the same thing, scanned them in and just lighten the background so that they look a bit crisper.
Well, I always believe that Islamic art are like the original graphic designers. With all of our repeating patterns and
I think you're a very good graphic designer as well, Laurelie. I've seen
me, oh my God, my graphic designers would be rolling on the floor listening to this.
Really?
The ones I work with, yeah. They just make me look professional, I swear. There's a lot of effort. There's two graphic designers behind me that make me look professional. That's all I can say.
Well, I saw your study sheets and they look really gorgeous.
Those are by hand though.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we're both basically doing the same thing.
There's a way of laying things out, you know, that some artists are great painters or ceramicists or, you know, sculptors or whatever, but quite struggle with putting together, you know, laying out a composition for, you know.
Fair enough. Yeah. What make is the green brush?
Oh, it's not a very good, it's actually, it's a sort of it's not the best quality brush, but it was the only size 0 that I had available. It's Da Vinci, which is what we were complaining about the other week.
Those synthetic ones, that one?
This one is, yes.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
But it's fine for this because it's not too precise. I wouldn't use it for my very tiny illumination work, but it's fine for these big leaves and petals. Or at least to me, they're big. To other people, they might be small.
I am keeping an eye on the chat. We don't have anything coming in. I am using, for my birthday, my husband got me these new watercolor pencils.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I got very lucky. He got me karandash. I don't know. I must be cooking some good food lately. But they're really, really wonderful.
They are, watercolor pencils are a lot of fun. I took some out the other day just to play with. And I used to, when I taught in secondary schools, I used to use watercolor pencils to a lot of students who, just as a stepping stone before using watercolor, because some of them were not very confident with brushes.
Fair enough, yeah.
I really like to use them. So when pre-COVID, I used to go out with my sketchbook and just sketch in a cafe or sketch in the park. I would do like drawings with what's it called, like a waterproof marker, and then take out my watercolor pencils and just put washes of color over, like very quickly. And they're really nice for when you're out and about because you don't have to take a big, you know, palette with you or a lot of water.
There's some funny things going on in the chat. Give me 1 second. I'm listening to you, but it's funny. 1 second. I'll repeat it for you so you can see. Turquoise and red. Oh, what happened? 1 second.
Oh,
there we go.
Sorry, that was a technical problem. Somebody just the camera on my artwork
Happened again.
Oh, sorry. Let me just.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Fix that. Somebody tried calling me twice, so the camera turned off. Sorry, 1 second. I may have to just go back in.
No problem. Okay, I've got you here.
Thank you.
And then give me a second to, what's it called, you? Spotlight you.
I can't see.
It's okay, it's okay. So I started your video, so you're gonna have to accept that.
Okay. Is that it?
Let's see, yeah. Yeah, we can see your hands and your purple sweater. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're back in business.
Sorry about that.
Let's see here. I'll give my opinion. You can give yours too. We have a preference question. Do you prefer working with watercolors in pans or in tubes?
I prefer pans just because it's sort of more immediate, but tubes are fine as well.
Yeah. I feel like we had that question before, didn't we? Kind of something close to that. I have a few colors I keep in tubes. For example, I keep white gouache in a tube. I'm not sure why I do that, but I do.
All of my gouache are in tubes, but all of my watercolors are in pans.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if you can get gouache in pans, actually. I think.
Yeah, you can. I know Schminke has them in, what's it called, in pans.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I think I waste less when it's in a pan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might be the reason. Maybe I should try the gouache pans.
Yeah, some people are saying sometimes they squeeze the tube into a watercolor pen and let it dry. Yeah, you can do that too. The only difference would be when they're manufactured, there's less air in them. But other than that, and I remembered the other day, because I use quite a few different watercolor brands, and especially when you work with students, you find out quickly like what works and what doesn't work. I had this Pelican set, and it was like 24 colors, and I can't find it here anymore. But I remember that was a really, really nice intro set. Like, I would say it was probably better than the Winsor Newton Cotman set.
Oh, really?
So if you have that Pelican brand around.
No, I've not heard of it.
Yeah, someone else says, I love my Pelican set. There's something about those colors. They're like really, really rich.
I wonder, actually, now that everyone's here in the chat, maybe we should ask people what kind of courses they'd like in the future.
Yeah.
Do that, because as you and I are going to be doing a few more classes, we should see what people are interested in. More
beasts, please. And trees of paradise. I see a theme here.
I wouldn't mind. I would quite like to do some illumination, actually, with people if they're interested.
Yeah, we can check that out. Yeah, someone wrote miniature. And we're getting lots of yes for illumination. Yeah. So yeah, go right ahead. Your class is sorted. Everyone is saying yes to illumination. There is one tile in particular. I gave kind of a coloring sheet in the last series of classes. So if you took those last series of classes with me, with Leighton House, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's got a grape, a bunch of grapes and grape leaves in it. I was thinking to teach that class. So I haven't decided, would we just do Damascus tiles like 2.0 or Moroccan Zalij design. I don't think we have any of that in the collection at Shay. I get really Turkish when I can't remember. That's funny. At the museum, but we can try. Yes, we did do pomegranate, so we need to do grapes.
I would love
You're right.
I would love to take your pomegranates and grapes class.
We did do grapes and pomegranates, but the grapes, I think it ended up getting pushed a little bit. And the grape tile is really, really wonderful. So we could do that. And I can check more of what beasts we haven't covered, like from your class to my classes.
I mean, we just did, in mine, we just did birds, really. Our time is so short, but we can look at, we can certainly look at other animals as well.
I have to go through because I'm, with all of the classes I've taught this year, I can't remember what I taught and what I didn't teach. How about Mogul Patterns? I have, well, I'll do basically follow my Instagram. You can see what's coming up soon. I'm not gonna like shamelessly self-promote here, but follow our social media. I know, Ayesha, I'm sure you have classes that are continuing and coming up too. But in terms of Leighton House, I believe, and I'm gonna see if Charlotte's gonna pipe in here, but we have to stick to what we have in the collection to make it relevant. I don't believe we have any Mogul patterns laying about, so we'll check the collection and see what's available.
Just to the person who was asking earlier about erasing the lines, as this flower is dry, I just erased some of the pencil that was around it. I'm not sure if you'll notice, but to me it looks a lot clearer. So just wait until your work is dry and just go through with an eraser, and it should take off anything that shouldn't be there at the end.
Farah, you asked, is the background always left white? Are you talking about on the paintings, or do you mean in Islamic designs in particular? In Tezhib, that's a question for you, Ayesha.
Oh, in Tezhib, it's no. It's so Tezhib, for those who don't know, means illuminated Islamic manuscripts. We very rarely use white as a background color. I mean, yeah, very, very rarely. Backgrounds, the most traditional background color is lapis, which gives the effect of a starry night sky when you put the blue and the gold together, which is really quite magical and very heavenly. So lapis is a very popular background color. A sort of a maroony red, like a deep red, like a cinnabar type color is common, like a brownie red. Also gold we use for backgrounds, different shades of gold, and sometimes green, like a malachite green, or occasionally more of a turquoise green, or a sort of a a darker green. But those are, yeah, those are probably the most common colours. Lapis, like a burgundy sort of red colour, gold, and greens.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When it comes to the background, because oftentimes illuminators are working on colored paper. So this is just how my mind's thinking, because I'm all about efficiency. So sometimes do artists work on a color background to avoid having to paint the background colored?
It's more about the technique that you're using. So if you're doing very classic flowers, very tiny classic flowers, which are traditionally painted on a blue background or a gold background, you would have to paint. Yeah, you would have to paint the background because it's sort of part of that technique. But there are larger flowers where the technique is to sort of have them sort of a bit transparent so that you can see the background color. So in that,
like the halkar technique.
Yeah, that's the halkar technique.
Okay.
So you need to then work on a colored paper, because if you were to paint the background, it would just
Be a mess.
it would just wash away as you started painting the flowers on top.
Gotcha. I have a good friend who is a TESIP teacher, and for as long as I've known her, she's tried to inflict the beautiful pain of illumination on me, and I've denied every year. And now after doing your classes, I'm starting to, warm up to the idea of maybe trying.
Oh, that's a nice result.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you all the credit. I'll let her know it was because of you. Well, I've been asked a question here. What made you choose the tile path? My mom was a ceramicist, and her mom was a ceramicist. And when I moved to Istanbul, I really wanted to learn an art that was kind of similar, like where I already had some experience. And then a friend of mine that I made the first time I came to Istanbul as a part of a conference, she introduced me to her teacher, and then it's pretty much history after that. And so, it's adaptable skills. And the motifs that you have in the Islamic ware are almost identical to what you have in illumination or in the wood painting or whatever, just less or more detail. So I thought that learning Islamic art would kind of give me the basis that if I wanted to learn other techniques, it would be transferable.
So what made you move to Istanbul in the first place?
This is an interesting story. So it's really interesting. I got into 2 conferences that year, and one was in London, funny enough, and one was in Istanbul. And for some reason, they were at the same exact time. And obviously I couldn't go to both. And they were, Islamic art conferences, whatever. And I decided to go to Istanbul. And funny enough, 2 years later, or not even 2 years later, a year later, I ended up in the UK studying. But I went for a conference on Islamic geometric patterns, and then the rector asked me to stay, or not stay, return to start teaching there full time at the design center. And I guess I had a bit of a, I mean, I was young, I was brave also. I must have been 25 or something. And I thought, well, my life is pretty good, but it's not really gonna change. It's just gonna be like this. So I thought, why not mix it up a bit? I moved almost as far as I could get away from home. But yeah, and at that point, what's interesting is that my dad, who I'm really close to, didn't actually, he didn't push back. So I just took that as a, like, we're good to go kind of thing. And it's been, you know, the best experience I've had. I don't work for that design center anymore, funny enough. I have my own studio here. And yeah, and interestingly enough, one thing I'll say is at the end of the week, when I knew I was going home, I had a depression like I've never had before. Not like a, you know, I'm, you know, end of trip-itis or whatever you want to call it. It was really like, I felt like it was really wrong to leave. And then when I got back, oh man, it was like really bad. So I did everything I could to get back to Istanbul, which I returned at the end of October, and I moved full-time to Istanbul in January. And how that happened was I was going back and forth. Do I do it? Do I not? And I got I got this email from Air Transat that it was like $700 round trip to Istanbul. And I was like, all right, let's go. That's the cheapest I've ever seen that ticket. So it was quite a few different things. And at Christmas that year, I told my dad I'm gonna move to Istanbul, and over turkey dinner, of course. And he was like, all right. It's really weird. It's a really weird story.
It's funny how a place calls you sometimes. I think, well, I mean, you reminded me of my first trip to Istanbul to go and study illumination. And I was really nervous. I was probably about 24 or 25 as well, so same age as you were. And I just remember it felt like all the doors were opening for me. It was a wonderful feeling. I found my teacher. So I was a friend in the year above me at the Princess School introduced me to her teacher, her illumination teacher, who became my illumination teacher in Istanbul. And I mean, I didn't really know how I was going to get to her, or you know, or what was going to happen, but we had family friends in Turkey who took me to meet my teacher. And it turned out that this family friend and my teacher had studied with the same person many years ago, just by chance. They helped me a lot, really, in sort of in the introductions and things. And you know, just everything fell into place. I sort of found a ticket and found somewhere to stay, not too expensive. And it was just like Istanbul was opening its arms to me.
Well, that's the thing. Istanbul really is a city that, like, when we're not talking about traveling and going for, you know, for a visit, like, Istanbul is a city that will, like, when she wants you there, she'll open you with, you know, wonderful arms. And then when she wants to get rid of you, she'll kick you out. And it's not an easy city when you live here full time. Like, there's really wonderful things about Istanbul. There's really hard things about Istanbul. If you're 24, get out of Istanbul, live your life. Yeah. I would definitely, like, if you've got a good head on your shoulders, I'm just saying this as a precautionary tale. I don't want anyone to say, I took your advice and now what? But if you've got a good head on your shoulders and you think you could handle living outside of your home country, I would definitely suggest doing that if you have the means to do so, because it opens you up to many different experiences and learning how to adapt and different cultures and different ways of life that, you know, maybe staying at home wouldn't. But, you know, everyone to each their own. I had a question up here. Give me a second.
I'm going to start painting the red now. So I'll come to these flowers too, but just to show you some of the red in the vase, which generally we use as a kind of a highlight color.
One second. Could you do for? I'm just answering a question and then I'll bring the other one up. Okay, so we have asked where we're originally from. Do you mean like I'm Canadian and but I mean, like, that's a whole other conversation, what exactly my background is for another day. But, and then Ayesha, if you would like to share, it's up to you, but no pressure.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm British. I was born and raised in the UK. My family, though, are from South Africa and have very mixed ethnicity. So a mixture of European, Asian, and African. If that answers the question.
I think it does. I'm not sure who it was directed at, but I mean, they got both of the answers. And I'm just trying to see any other questions. I don't think so right now. I did get asked any suggestions for the colors of the pattern of the rim. I gave my like Islamic kind of explanation, but if you have another one, you could give that.
I couldn't say particular, but I would just sort of maybe just repeat the advice I gave before. Maybe just to not use every color in the rainbow, but just sort of limit it to maybe 3 or 4 colors, so that everything looks quite unified. And then think of, you know, you could have, like I said before, you can have a warm palette or a cool palette, or you could have contrasting as well. So I don't know, when I choose colors, I just tend to go with my heart, really. So I'll pick, there'll normally be a color that's just really in my mind, or that I really, really feel excited to use. And I'll base everything else around that. So maybe if my color that I picked was red, I might think of something that, I might think of what complements the red. Or let's say if it was pink. I quite like this combination. So if it was pink, I really like pink and green together. So I would start with pink and green, and then maybe just lay those colors down first, and then see. That's how I would do it, I think. So you don't have to sort of pick all your colors right at the beginning. Sometimes it's nice just to see what unfolds as you start painting the work. And also look at colours in nature.
Yes, that's the best one, isn't it?
Yes. Because nature always knows how to harmonise colour perfectly. And what I've done here is I've sort of, as the red is a highlight, I've sort of tried to spread it around the composition so it's not concentrated just in one corner. You could think about that too, like the balance of colours in your design.
One of the things we do, like when we're mapping color, for ceramics specifically, we kind of put we have an organization to the colors. So even when we're applying the paint after we've chosen our colors, we always put the turquoise first, and then the cobalt blue, like the dark blue, and then we put in the red in the end. And there's a specific reason for that, because the red glaze is heavier and thicker, but the red also is very powerful. So you can kind of go along that same route of starting with your turquoise and dark blue, and then you can understand where you might need some contrast.
So I actually didn't know that, but that's exactly what I
Really? Yeah, I know. I was gonna say I was shocked that you started with turquoise. I was like, I wonder if she knows this kind of rule.
I had no idea, but it was just an intuitive thing, and I like turquoise as well.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just seeing these links here. Yeah, Sultana, there is I do have an introductory to watercolor class. And thank you, Pawan, for sharing that. I have my own personal PR person here. And what was I gonna say? I'm giving a discount to some of my students that one of my classes just finished with Scripts and Scribes. So that's going to be on the website in a couple of days. So you can take advantage of that nice little discount too as a student. I'll find a way to get you that information. Maybe I'll put it on my Instagram too. Yeah. Pawan's waiting for me to put up my recently finished classes from Mystical Mihrabs. Give me 1 second. Let me see here. Sultana, I'll send you my website. I'll just put it directly in the thing, and I'll share Ayesha's website, of course, too.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're gonna write something soon about this experience of teaching online classes, yeah?
Oh yes, I absolutely should do that.
Yeah, I've been planning on writing something also about teaching these classes, because there's something special going on.
Yes, I think so too. I agree. It's a real honor, I think, to be able to connect with so many people.
Yeah, the first online class I did was with Museum of Islamic Art in Doha in April of 2020. And all of those kind of feelings of, I don't want to do this, this is going against the grain, vanished when I had students from, Perth, Australia, and California, and everywhere in between at the same time. So I could have never in a million years been able to visit people in all of those places at the same time. It would have been impossible. Let me see here. And I'm going to share our Instagrams also for those. And before we finish, we're going to give you who to share your work with. Come on.
So you can also, if you want to outline the vase or the plate, you can. I did see a message with the plate about using a compass. Yes, that's probably the easiest way, but you can do it freehand as well. If you wanted to just trace around the edge, that's not a problem.
We also had a similar question about outlining the shapes. A recent one. Would you suggest outlining the shapes if your shapes are a little wobbly?
No, not necessarily. I would just maybe just do some retouching work on the outline, on the edge. Sorry.
Perfect. Yeah.
You don't need to outline them though. This is not an outlining technique. This is more of a silhouette technique.
Let me find your website.
It's just my name, Ayesha Gamiet, one word, .com. And if anyone's interested, I do have some prints of my work for sale on my online shop. So do have a look at that. It's on my website.
All right. So I have shared both of our Instagrams, our and our websites. Is that under gallery where your prints are?
No, it's I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's on the about page at the bottom. I think there is a link to my online shop if anyone's interested.
Yes, got it. I'll send that link too.
Oh,
So
thank
if
you.
you're interested, show Ayesha a little love. Okay. All right. So
I think it's actually time for us to finish up soon. Right? Because, the second half has gone so quickly.
all right. So yes, it's been a very big pleasure being a moderator for these classes, and you know, going from being a teacher to being a moderator. It was like really weird in the beginning, but I really enjoyed the experience. So yeah, we're getting lots of really wonderful comments. So that's okay. So Ayesha, do you prefer teaching students or adults?
Oh, children or adults, you mean?
Yeah, children, I'm assuming, yeah.
I enjoy both, but I think I probably prefer adults because if I want to teach illumination, it's a really difficult art for children. I think you have to, yeah, it's very difficult for them to concentrate and just to have the manual dexterity of holding the fine brushes and doing the very fine work. But I do love working with children. I think if I had to choose one, though, I would say I prefer working with adults.
Mm-hmm. I like both, but I can't do them on the same day. It takes my brain having to switch gears in order to be successful at it. Okay, so before we finish the class, we have Lady Emma Verey with us that is going to give a little talk. And I think I don't want to cut things short, Ayesha. So are we okay, or do you want to go to the end of class, or?
I think we're more or less complete, because now it's just finishing your flowers and perhaps putting a very thin outline around the work, or you can just leave the pencil if you want to. So yeah, I think we're probably done for this evening. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's been a real pleasure teaching you, and thank you for your wonderful questions too. And thank you, Laurelie, and to Leighton House for hosting. And I look forward to seeing you in the future in future courses.
The feeling is completely mutual. No one go anywhere, because we want to see your artwork after. Just give me a quick second to get why is my Zoom not opening? There we go. Sorry, it's my fault. Okay, perfect. So Lady Emma, we're going to request that you open your video. Let's see. Oh, it is on already. Sorry. So you can unmute yourself now, and I'm going to spotlight you.
Thank you, thank you. Before we all show, I just wanted to say more thank yous, really. First of all, of course, on behalf of all of us, to Ayesha, to Laurelie, and also to the whole team at Leighton House. You've given us all so much pleasure. I know that these classes have been the highlight of my week over the last month, and I think lots of other people feel exactly the same. And also, on behalf of the Friends of Leighton House, because I'm one of the trustees there, I want to say an enormous thank you to all of you who've so kindly and generously made a donation, because it's your support that's made these classes happen and enabled them to be free, so that everybody who wished to has been able to take part. And so as a result, hundreds of people have. And it's really not too fanciful to say that your donations have enabled us to spread joy across the world. And we need joy just at the moment. So I very much hope that with your help, we can continue our online learning and outreach programs. And I can't wait for the next course. Thank you all very much indeed. And now let's see what everybody's done.
Yes, thank you very much for your kind words. Let's see everyone's work. Fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, look at these. Oh,
wow, oh my goodness.
Absolutely amazing.
Stunning.
There are pages and pages of these.
Who've made their own flowers, and some who've done more like a sort of a Chinese looking version.
Uh-huh.
And the different color palettes. Oh, that's so much fun. Thank you.
This is so lovely. Just quickly before I forget, normally I show a slide, but if you want to share, you can email Charlotte, or you can share on social media with @LeightonHouseMuseum or Ayesha_illuminates on Instagram also.
I can see that we have some, actually talking about adults and young adults and children, we have some very young participants showing
I
some
can see that.
work. Absolutely amazing. Laura, well done. Congratulations, everybody.
And then we have Yeni Astuti as well. We have some wonderful vases and plates down there.
Yes.
Look at, and Sabah has put a really beautiful green color on her leaves. Oh, these are really wonderful. Yes, please send them to us.
Yes, and then we will put them all together in a spectacular gallery. As I said in the chat, we'll pop them up on YouTube so they are there for you to go and enjoy and be inspired by each other. Really lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
See you soon for Inspired by Islamic Art 3.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Ayesha. Bye, Laurelie. Bye, everybody.
See you.
Bye. Take care.